All right, hello everyone. So let's take a look at the market today. Today is Monday, so 17th of November. Now this week we've got I got gold in front of me, so we don't have a swing day on gold. You can see the market is going down, so sellers coming in, logical. We've got two levels. We can still dip down into here, okay? And on the weeklies, you can see we still have a target down there. So the week is still to the upside. As you can see, this is a big hot trend. Now on the weekly, we might be doing an A, B, C. That may dip us down a little bit, and I wish it did. Okay, if it does dip us down, if it does dip down, that would be good for us, okay, because we can buy in. But at the end of the day, if we're intraday trading, what are we going to do? So first of all, it's not a swing day, so we could be going down or south, down or no, not down or up, okay, south or north. But since Friday was a swing day, and the next swing day that's coming up is going to be Wednesday, right? What might happen is we might dip down or might muck around here until Wednesday. Ideally, I'd like to see it down, okay, and come into the weekly by Wednesday. There, then we can like push up. If that doesn't happen, we could go up. All right. So what are we going to do? Well, that's easy. What we're going to do. This is our first trading hour. It's not a bad hour either, and it's going to be happening in about 40 minutes my time. All right. So this is not a bad spot for the market to expand. All right. So if I was to even get in here or at a PST level, okay, it's not a bad thing to get in here. So if we break out, the first place we should go to is obviously this place here. And then we should come to about 4,145 because I don't have a PST level up here except this 56, which is 4,121. So 4,121 is possibly a place where we can cover ourselves, but I wouldn't wait that much if I was to get in. I'll tell you why. Because of this. All right, so this is where they sold off on Friday. All right. Asia today. All right, so to break out, we're going to need some pushing power, which might come at lunchtime, mind you. Okay, so the market might have a good pushing power at lunchtime, which is after 11:45 my time. So look out from 11:45 until 2:30 my time, and from 2:30 to 3:30 we should be at a place where the market should have a direction. If we have a direction today, that should take us to closing afterwards. Okay, so determine what your direction is going to be between 2:25 my time and 3:30 my time, and then that should give you a direction. If it does give you a direction, it should take you into like 11:30, 11:45 my time, or midnight my time. So there you go. All right. Okay, so be careful here. Like I said, what you can also do is box things, right? You can box it in because if the market starts to come down, this is the first target, 4,030, because 4,030 is there. Okay. On the weekly, we're right on there, as you can see, at 4,059. Okay, so if I make this a little bigger, the trend line is on 4,059. All right, on the daily it's 4,004. So there are a few levels there, 4,059. So we'll have to check that out here. All right, which is just there. All right, which covers the gap here. All right, but this is like a sideways thing. You can see this is not a real breakout or anything. It's just chilling out. Okay, so this is going to be a determining factor, and this 1145 is going to be a determining factor. All right, which should then give us some choppy moves for a setup in the New York session at 2 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. my time. All right, so that's how you can check this one out. If it cut, obviously waiting for the swing days is a better option. Okay, if you want to follow it down, selling at the low of that at a trading hour is an option. 4,245. That's why I've got 4,245 there. So the market might kind of like go up and then kind of sizzle down again into Wednesday, or it might keep pushing up into Wednesday and sell off on a Wednesday, right? So knowing the days is therefore an advantage, because once we find which way we're going to be going, then we can kind of follow it in that direction. All right, so a bit in the middle of nowhere, but that's how it is. Euro dollar. Now, euro dollar last week, I think we had just Tuesday, all right, which was here. Now we've got today, Monday or Tuesday. So Monday or Tuesday, which should take us obviously from the highs to the downside is what I'm thinking. All right, because the market went high. We got Monday. Here. Okay. Right, so that's your Monday. And if we dip down, which we should, it should bring us back down here. Okay. And should this break? Well, I hope so. All right, because it's actually pretty bullish too. But if we come back down here again, okay, we want to go long. All right. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this. I am going to do this. All right. This was the breakout. Okay. So now what I want to see is the market coming down into a goodbye kiss. All right, which should take us back into here, close gap, and then I don't mind buying again. All right, so we could fall into Friday back into here, not a problem. If you want to sell, do it. Trading hours, do that trading hours from the highs, obviously. Okay, so if the market comes back up again, daily pivot closing, you want to push to the downside, fair enough. Also, let's check out the weekly because it's a new week. Okay, here we are. We can still dip to the downside. Okay, and that 44 is a price of 1470 on the daily. I don't have a price there, but 1470 is back down in this place here. As you can see, right, that's 1476. So we're going to dip back into here. And that's how it is. And like I said, and I hope it should break to the downside because I'd like to see it break. And then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, if it does break. But until then, we should be prepared to buy when it comes down. If it does come down into the weekly, we should be prepared to buy. If I take a look at the PST on the weekly, the PST is really good because you can just do all kinds of things on there. All right. Needs a bit more perfecting. Okay, but at the end of the day, all right, at the end of the day, I say this is more bearish than bullish. Okay, so to follow it to the downside is not a bad idea on the weekly as well. All right. Let's take a look at SP500. Now, SP500, remember we had a swing day Friday. And we got Monday too. What does that tell you? Friday, Monday should follow to the upside. All right. So now this Monday can end up somewhere, okay, which can sell off again into the next swing day. But overall, we should be bullish because Friday was a swing day. We came from the highs to Friday. I said you could buy in this window here on a Friday. If you did, that was the trading hour. Okay, we need to dip down if you want to go back up again. So don't buy expensive. Okay, but on the other hand, you could do this. Okay, this is the high, okay, of Friday. So two things we can do here, because there's a slight gap here, which I think they might have just filled in with this one. If you want to go with it, do so, but just understand at lunchtime we're going to have volatility. All right, so just be cautious of that. Like I said, from 12 p.m. coming all the way into 2:30 my time, and then from 2:30 to 3:30 you need to look out for. There's going to be volatility after midday. I'm not saying trade at those hours. I'm just saying look out for volatility, because the market should either turn or break at 11:45 to midday, and then we should have some kind of a sharp action, volatility, okay, sudden moves in the market until 2:30, and from 2:30 to 3:30 the market should decide on a price where it's gonna turn around or break out. Okay, so those are the trade hours where you can kind of like make sense of your assets, trading hours and prices. Okay, just bring the price and the time together according to your bias, and then it'll work out. But once we have direction, like I said, it should go into closing. So you might want to wait for the indices to kind of like chill out early New York morning pre-trade session, and then make a move. All right, if you're going to do indices. And that's how it is. At the end of the day, as you can see, overall, if you take a look at the weekly, right here, the trend is up, right? We've got higher highs, higher lows, so the trend is still to the upside. It's just thinking about what we're going to do. As you can see, we might just do something like this. Okay, we might just do something like this. So that is what might happen. Okay, so it's down on 2 weeks in a row, so the market might look for an opportunity to sell off. If it does, we will break. Then you can target 59 if it starts to break downside, 6665, which is going to be 6 6. That can't be right. It's too far out for 6625. 59 6665. Well, that is weird. 6665 is just there. Wow, that's going to be a weekly. Okay, if we come here, you can buy. This is going to be a support level. All right. Look out for stop sweeps. It might just retest here. Do this weekly. Now, if this breaks, great. I'm not going to be complaining if it breaks, because we should have room to really come down into that line, which is 6483 on the monthly, which is going to be way down here. Okay, so we'll see how that pans out. If it comes down here at the trading hour, it's worth a buy, like Friday was. Okay, nice and easy. Friday, swing day, PST, trading hour, go long. If you did, you would be in the money. Now, if you want to follow this to the upside, which is logical too, because, like I said, Friday, Monday, follow up, we could go all the way into there. PST price 6884, and that is like going to be right in this box again, 6884. Let's do this 15-minute chart. So that is what you can target as well. 6884 is going to be 6884 is just going to be around there. Okay, so you'll be back to this zone where they sold off before. here, all right, which is where they sold off before. So that will be a target again if that is the case. So we have to be a little bit more careful. Like I said, for the indices, you can wait for pre-New York opening, okay, the pre-trade session. Let's take a look at Dow Jones, Nasdaq, Bitcoin. Dow Jones and Nasdaq both have a Monday, so all the indices have a Monday. All right, they all have a Friday. SP 500 and Dow Jones have a Thursday in common, and Nasdaq has a Wednesday. That Wednesday can be at the end of the day, and then Thursday they could all be taking a turn in Asia, for example. So let's see what we're gonna do. Right, so here we are, right? So last week, Dow Jones, we had Monday, Tuesday, which was here, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's right, Monday, Tuesday, going to the upside. Okay, following from Friday, remember? And then selling off with the SP 500 coming into this zone. Now we've got a Monday, which is nice because we can now say, okay, we're low, so want to buy. Okay, which is fine. Now we've got a price on the daily 46,46852. 46852 is great for a stop sweep. So if we come back down here somewhere, okay, and you want to buy at a trading hour, it's doable. Okay, as you can see here, we're going through that expansion. That's also good, but that could take us, let's do this. Okay, you have to be careful here, all right? And that could take us to, like I said, 11:45 my time, which is going to be 10:45 to 11 here on the platform. Okay, because you can see the platform is 6:45, and for me that was like 7:45. So we'll see how things pan out here. And then, like I said, for the indices, better to wait for that New York session. If you want to trade in the London session, then you got to wait for midday. All right, so midday, and then from midday to like 2:30, sorry, from midday to 2:30, we're going to have volatility, like I said, and then we should have a price where the market should make its move between 3 and 3:30. All right. So where else can we go? Well, on the daily, that was pretty much it. If the market wants to go up, it's doable. As you can see, it hasn't closed any lower than the swing, so the market is still pretty bullish, and I'm okay with that, no problem. On the weekly, that 60 level is 46,891 and 46,891 is going to be around here. 46,891. So this zone is hot. If this zone breaks, don't stand in front of it. Okay, but this is like a hot place to be buying on the weekly and the daily. Now, if the market does keep pushing to the upside, that target is going to be too far out. So the low of that we could do until the next swing day, which is 47,982. So you're going to have to put a 47,982 here. 47,982. Let's say 980. Here we are. All right, so somewhere around here, 982. All right. And there's a bit of a gap there, so that's logical too. On the weekly, we've got 67. If it keeps pushing up, that's a 48,212. So then we'll have a 48,212 is going to be just around here somewhere. All right, so just ballpark it. but just be price sensitive. Okay, so if I say 48212, it's 48212. You want to be a little bit conservative. So if we get up here, obviously, you can take profit. So if it does go up to the upside, the more we break to the upside, you know where your targets are, and that could go, like I said, into the next swing days whenever they're coming up. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Now with NASDAQ, we had a swing day Tuesday, and this week we've got a Monday. So it's actually good if we're down on NASDAQ, so we can kind of like be bullish on it from the lows going to the upside. Like this one as well, Dow Jones, bearish from the bear going to the upside. All right, so here we are, nice and easy. All right, so last week, the only Friday we had was for SP 500, wasn't it? Yeah, and that's your Friday. So going up on a Monday, I like it. So on the indices, going up is good. Your first target is going to be 50, 25, 370, 25, 370 is there. All right, that's your first target. If it goes up there, it'll get some resistance. Okay, so be mindful. Why? Because you can see the sell-offs. Okay, but you can see we're not closing below here. Okay, we haven't closed below the swing. You see how they stop sweep the red bar? Okay, so if I do this, if you take the wick, we just stop sweeping it. Okay, buy on the wick, stop sweep the wick, and then push to the upside. Okay, so that's the first target. If that breaks out, okay, so we have to be careful here, as you can see, right? Because we've got a PST valid breakout to the downside on the weekly. So this needs care. No gap on the weekly. The trend is still to the upside, mind you. Okay, daily price, we've got 25,565, but the lower that bar is going to be important, which is 25,401. 25,401. So this zone is important. All right. If it breaks above this zone, obviously, don't stand in front of it. The market may make a pullback and then push up again. So if it does do a pullback and then you want to buy into it, you can with a tight stop loss. Okay, but on the weekly, because we've got this break down to the downside, you have to be careful, because a Monday then can end up high somewhere, and then the market can sell off on a Tuesday. So we have to be smart here and make sure we're playing within our price lines. Okay, so okay, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Now with Bitcoin, as you know, we are where we said we should be. Today is not a swing day, but last week, as you know, Friday was. Okay, I didn't have anything for the weekend, so after we hit Friday low, you either should have taken profit or you'd be looking for a place to buy on the next day or Sunday or Monday, whenever you're trading, from those target zones. Let's take a look. Here we are. Now on the daily, as you can see, we're here, right? So the market has done a bit of a stop sweep. As you can see, it hasn't breached our rectangle, okay, which it shouldn't at the moment. Okay, now as you know, I am in favor of a break down to here to close prices. Okay, so I like it. On the other hand, there's a gap here. It's closed this gap but hasn't yet this one. So the low of that is going to be for us on the daily. Let's check it out. The low of that is going to be 97,874. 97,874. So somewhere around here. Okay. Now look, you have to be a bit smart here. We came to the last target 27. So if you sold, right, you should have taken that profit, okay, already. If you're using your PST, obviously if you're not using your PST, I draw these rectangles here. So, you know, you got to make your own call. And on the weekly, look, 35 is a place where the market can buy again. And that 35 is 92,426, right? 92,426. 92. There. All right. So it's not a swing day, but Friday was. Friday we hit the targets, all good. Now for the week's setup, you can do it from the lows here, okay, and also on the weekly target there. Okay, you can see this is still to the downside, and also the low of that, let's check it out, is 98,875. 98,875 is going to be your weekly. All right, it's pretty much on top of there, right? So it's your weekly pivot. So so this zone here, okay, is a sell zone. If you want to sell again at trading hours, this is it, okay? And that's basically it. Like I said, it's not swing day. You can wait for the swing day. You can chill out. If you took profit with all this all the way down here, you can just chill out and see how things pan out and trade on the swing day. If you want to do something today, like I said, from the lows, you can push up into those closing hours. You just have to make sure you cover yourself. If you're buying the lows, you just need to make sure you cover yourselves from the lows, all right? Because it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky if we break this low here, because that's a weekly target, and if it breaks that, you know, we've got room to go down, and I'm telling you, we do have room to go down. Okay, we have room to go down, so be mindful. And in fact, I should draw this as well. So that's done. Okay, as you can see, that's done, but we've got room to come down on the weekly as well. So be mindful. If you're going to be buying, be on top of your game. All right, have a good one. Have a good week. If you have any questions, queries, always feel free to drop a line.